The grocery store riots aren't here yet. But when they hit, it won't be over gold or gadgets. It'll be over something so cheap, so ordinary, you probably walked past it this week without a second thought. Picture this: shelves stripped bare, crowds panicking, fists flying not over luxury items, but over a 79-cent product that suddenly becomes more valuable than cash. That's the brutal reality of an economic collapse. What we take for granted today becomes priceless tomorrow. And here's the twist. While the masses scramble for bread, milk, and bottled water, the smartest survivors will be quietly filling their carts with 9 overlooked household items that most people won't even notice until it's too late. These aren't survival gadgets or high-tech tools. They're everyday products sitting right in front of you right now. In this video, I'll break down exactly what they are, why they matter, and why people will fight for them when the collapse begins. The unsung power of heavy-duty aluminum foil. When most people think of aluminum foil, they imagine wrapping leftovers or covering a tray of food in the oven. But when the world slips into crisis mode, this ordinary household roll turns into a survival essential that could literally keep your family alive. And here's the crucial detail: it's not the thin, cheap foil you buy in bulk. It's the heavy-duty aluminum foil that separates the survivors from the victim. During the Texas freeze of 2021, when millions were trapped in dark, freezing homes with no electricity, families who knew the value of heavy-duty foil used it to insulate pipes, line walls, and even seal broken windows. That reflective silver surface didn't just wrap food, it bounced heat back into rooms, slowing the deadly drop in temperature. Some people even built makeshift solar ovens, lining cardboard boxes with foil to cook meals without electricity. Thin foil would have shredded and failed almost instantly, but the heavy-duty stuff held strong when nothing else did. This isn't just about insulation. Heavy-duty foil is a survival multi-tool. It can reflect light as a distress signal, line containers to collect water, and reinforce weak structures. After Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, families used it to patch leaky roofs, funnel rainwater into buckets, and even build solar cookers to prepare food without gas or power. The flimsy bargain bin foil was useless. It tore, punctured, and failed every test. Here's what most people don't realize. Grocery stores rarely stock much heavy-duty foil. At best, you'll see 2 or 3 rolls tucked away, while thin foil fills the shelf. During COVID lockdowns, while everyone scrambled for toilet paper, seasoned preppers quietly swept up the heavy-duty rolls. They knew something the masses didn't. You can substitute a lot of things for toilet paper, but there's no real replacement for heavy-duty foil when you need it for survival. I learned this the hard way myself, on a camping trip that spiraled into a survival situation after our vehicle broke down miles from town. I thought regular foil would cover our cooking and storage needs. By day 2, it was shredded to useless strips. Food couldn't be stored safely, cooking became a nightmare, and signaling for help was nearly impossible. If I'd had the heavy-duty version, the entire ordeal would have been manageable instead of dangerous. When panic buying hits, heavy-duty foil will vanish faster than bread and milk. Stock up now, at least a dozen rolls kept dry and safe. In a collapse, this simple kitchen product transforms into insulation, cookware, water collection gear, and emergency shelter. Thin foil will betray you. Heavy-duty foil could save your life. 2. Contractor-grade garbage bags. The survival tarp in disguise. Most people never give garbage bags a second thought. They're just for trash, right? But when society's systems break down and the utilities stop working, ordinary trash bags will become a nightmare. They'll rip, leak, and spread disease. That's when a completely different kind of bag becomes priceless: the contractor-grade garbage bag. These aren't the flimsy kitchen bags that tear under the weight of a cereal box. We're talking about industrial-strength bags designed to hold sharp debris, concrete chunks, and splintered wood without bursting. A single contractor-grade bag can carry 50 pounds, resist punctures, and handle rough conditions that would shred a normal bag in seconds. And in survival mode, that difference is the line between chaos and control. Think about what happens when the water stops flowing. Toilets won't flush. Waste builds up. Families suddenly find themselves surrounded by unsanitary messes that breed disease at terrifying speed. Ordinary trash bags won't hold human waste. They'll leak, tear, and create a biohazard zone in your own home. But contractor-grade bags, they'll hold waste safely until it can be disposed of, preventing disease outbreaks that often kill more people in disasters than the initial event itself. And waste control is just one function. These bags become water containers capable of holding 20 gallons without splitting. They transform into emergency ponchos with a few quick cuts. Stretch them over broken windows and you've got a temporary weatherproof seal. Fill them with leaves or newspapers and you've got makeshift insulation that keeps a family warm in freezing conditions. After Hurricane Katrina, families used these bags to cover electronics, transport supplies, and even build temporary shelters when roofs were ripped away. One Louisiana family famously created waterproof walls with contractor bags and duct tape, keeping their home habitable for 2 weeks until help arrived. Regular trash bags would have collapsed within hours. In cold climates, these bags can even trap heat. Homeless communities have used them for years as improvised sleeping bag liners, capturing body warmth in freezing nights. In survival conditions, that hack could mean the difference between frostbite and survival. Here's the part most people don't understand. You won't find these bags in the regular trash bag aisle. They're usually hidden in the contractor or construction section of hardware stores. That means when panic shopping begins, everyday shoppers won't even know they exist until the shelves are already cleaned out by construction workers, contractors, and savvy preppers. By the time the average person catches on, they'll be gone. Right now, a box of these costs maybe $15 more than the cheap kind. In a crisis, that small price difference explodes into the value of sanitation, shelter, and water collection. People will barter food, medicine, even fuel for a few bags. And if you've got extras, your worth to your community skyrockets. Don't wait for chaos to hit. Get boxes rated at least 3 mils thick, and store them with your emergency supply. Because when sanitation systems fail, contractor-grade garbage bags don't just manage waste, they manage survival itself. 3. The can opener mistake that could starve families. Everyone knows you need a manual can opener when the power goes out. It seems obvious, if you've got shelves of canned food, you need a way to open them. But here's the mistake that 90% of people make. They grab the cheapest 3-liter opener off the grocery store rack and assume it'll hold up. Spoiler alert, it won't. And in a crisis, that flimsy tool could leave you staring at food you can't eat. Most manual can openers sold in supermarkets are built for occasional use, opening a can of beans once in a while, not for feeding a family 3 meals a day for weeks. Their plastic handles snap. Their metal bends, the cutting wheels dull after a handful of cans, turning the simple act of opening food into a painful, frustrating, and often dangerous process. I experienced this firsthand after an ice storm knocked out power for a week. I had plenty of canned goods, and I thought I was ready with a standard opener. By day 3, the wheel was so dull it barely cut. I was pounding cans open with a knife and hammer, wasting half the food and risking serious injury. That one oversight taught me a brutal truth. Not all can openers are created equal. What you actually need is a commercial-grade manual can opener, the kind used in restaurants. These are built to open hundreds of cans a week without fail. They're solid metal, heavy in the hand, with sharp wheels that stay sharp, and grips designed for long-term use. Yes, they cost $30 or $40 instead of $3, but that investment could mean the difference between eating and starving when the shelves are empty. In places like Venezuela, where economic collapse forced families to survive almost entirely on canned food, this wasn't theory, it was reality. Families with cheap openers quickly found themselves locked out of their food supply. Meanwhile, those who had invested in professional-grade tools kept their families fed day after day. And here's the kicker. Commercial can openers aren't stocked in your neighborhood grocery store. At best, you might find 1 or 2 at a specialty kitchen store. More often, they're hidden away in restaurant supply shops, places most people never think to visit until desperation forces them to. By then, the few that exist are long gone, often snatched right out of shopping carts as panic sets in. The smart move is to buy 2 or 3 commercial-grade openers now. Keep one in your kitchen, one in your emergency stash, and one as backup or barter. Brands like Swingaway Professional or Military Surplus models have been proven in demanding environments for decades. If they can handle the pressure of restaurant kitchens or military camps, they can handle your survival pantry. Here's the bottom line. Canned food is one of the most reliable survival resources you can store, but without a dependable tool to access it, your stockpile is worthless. In a collapse, people won't just be fighting over food, they'll be fighting over the tools that let them eat it. Don't let your family's survival rest on a $3 gadget. Get the real thing before the shelves are bare. 4. Industrial duct tape. The lifeline that actually holds. Most people think duct tape is duct tape. That those cheap rolls from big box stores will hold anything together in an emergency. But here's the ugly truth. The bargain rolls that rip easily by hand are nearly worthless when you actually need to fix something under pressure. Real industrial-grade duct tape is in a different league entirely. It's waterproof, temperature-resistant, and engineered to perform in conditions where failure isn't an option. And when the collapse comes, the people who stocked up on the good stuff will be the ones still holding their lives together. Literally. You can spot the difference instantly. If you can easily tear duct tape with your fingers, it won't last. Real professional tape requires scissors or a knife to cut cleanly. Its adhesive is solvent-based, which means it clings through extreme humidity, desert heat, and even sub-zero cold. Cheap tape uses water-based adhesives that break down the moment they're exposed to oil, cold, or moisture. That difference matters when you're relying on tape to keep your family safe in a damaged home or to seal supplies against contamination. History proves this point. During Iceland's 2008 financial collapse, families facing skyrocketing heating costs used heavy-duty duct tape to seal windows, insulate walls, and patch holes to keep precious warmth inside. The families who used bargain rolls watched their tape peel away within days as winter storms raged outside. The ones with professional-grade tape kept their homes habitable all season, and the survival uses go far beyond sealing cracks. In a collapse, industrial duct tape can be used to build splints for broken bones, waterproof containers, emergency rope, and even makeshift shoes when footwear falls apart. During Hurricane Sandy, families used duct tape to hold plywood over shattered windows for weeks, patch water containers, and even create temporary hinges for broken doors. In Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, one family relied on cheap tape for roof repairs. It failed in 2 days, letting water ruin supplies and trigger mold. Their neighbors who used military-grade duct tape had repairs that held for 3 months until help arrived. That's the kind of difference we're talking about. But here's the catch. When panic buying starts, people grab whatever duct tape they see. The shelves with bargain rolls empty first because they're everywhere. But the real stuff is usually hidden away in contractor aisles in smaller quantities. Preppers, tradesmen, and those who know the secret clean those shelves out fast. Brands like 3M Professional Grade, Gorilla Tape, and Military Surplus Rolls have reputations built on extreme durability. They're 3 times the price of the cheap stuff, but they'll last 10 times longer when you need them most. A $12 roll might sound expensive in normal times, but in a collapse it's worth far more than money. It's worth safety, warmth, and survival. Stock multiple rolls now, keep them stored properly, and place them in your home, your vehicle, and your emergency kits. Because when things fall apart, industrial duct tape is the difference between patching life back together and watching everything unravel. 5. Sturdy disposable tableware. Eating without risk. At first glance, disposable plates and utensils seem like a lazy luxury, something you grab for a picnic or a kid's birthday party. But in a survival scenario, when clean water is scarce or completely unavailable, those same wasteful products turn into vital tools that prevent disease from spreading through your household. Washing dishes seems harmless, until you realize that without hot running water and soap, every plate becomes a breeding ground for bacteria and parasites. Suddenly, the act of cleaning becomes one of the biggest health threats your family can face. Imagine trying to wash dishes with contaminated water after a disaster. Food residue lingers, sponges and rags become toxic. Your sink becomes a petri dish of salmonella, E. coli, and norovirus. With hospitals overwhelmed or unavailable, something as simple as a stomach infection could prove fatal. This is why smart preppers never overlook disposable plates, cups, and utensils. In fact, FEMA relief workers prioritize distributing them in disaster zones because they understand that safe eating surfaces are just as important as clean drinking water. But not all disposables are created equal. Flimsy paper plates collapse under hot soup or soggy food. Thin plastic forks snap when you try to cut meat. To be effective, you need sturdy, professional-grade disposables, the kind used by restaurants and catering service. These can withstand heat, hold heavy meals, and actually provide a clean, safe surface for your family. During Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, families with stockpiles of strong disposable tableware were able to maintain safe eating conditions while others struggled with contaminated dishes and illness. In contrast, those who didn't plan ahead found themselves forced to reuse dirty plates, spreading sickness meal after meal. And here's an angle most people miss. In collapse conditions, disposable tableware becomes valuable currency. People will trade food, medicine, and fuel for the chance to eat safely without risking disease. During Venezuela's collapse, families who had cases of heavy-duty plates and utensils became sought-after trading partners. A $10 box of plates turned into $50 worth of barter because clean eating surfaces were in such demand. The smart move is to buy in bulk from restaurant supply stores. Look for foam plates that insulate hot foods, heavy-duty plastic utensils that don't snap, and cups that can handle both hot and cold liquids without cracking. Avoid recycled material plates that fall apart under stress. Some heavy-duty plastic utensils can even be washed and reused if water is available, stretching their usefulness even further. This isn't about convenience. It's about survival. A case of sturdy plates may seem excessive today, but when washing dishes becomes a health hazard, you'll be grateful for every single one. In a crisis, food safety is health, and health is survival. Stock up now because when panic spreads, these will vanish from stores within hours. 6. The overlooked lifeline. Industrial water jugs. When disaster strikes, everyone thinks about bottled water. Stores are stripped bare in hours as people fight over 24 packs of plastic bottles. But the real survival edge doesn't come from flimsy bottles that run out in days. It comes from industrial-grade water jugs designed to store, transport, and protect large amounts of water safely. While everyone else is scrambling for single-use bottles, the people who planned ahead with durable jugs will be calm, secure, and hydrated. Industrial water jugs are built for repeated use, often in outdoor or military environments. They're made of thick, food-safe plastic that resists cracking, UV damage, and bacterial growth. Unlike thin bottles that collapse, leak, or leach chemicals when left in the sun, these jugs keep water safe for weeks or even months when stored properly. In survival terms, they transform a short-term fix into a long-term solution. History gives us plenty of warnings. After Hurricane Katrina, countless families ran out of bottled water within days, forced to rely on unsafe local supplies that made them sick. Relief agencies and prepared families, who had industrial jugs, were able to store rainwater, transport clean water from distribution points, and ration it effectively. In Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, durable jugs became so valuable that people were trading them for fuel and food, because without proper storage, even access to clean water became meaningless. And it's not just about drinking. Water jugs allow you to cook safely, wash hands, and maintain hygiene. They can be paired with purification tablets, solar stills, or filtration pumps to create a renewable system of water supply. Without jugs, all the filtration in the world doesn't matter because you have nowhere safe to keep what you've cleaned. That's a mistake many people make in their prepping plans. They stock filters but not storage. Here's the reality: when supply chains break down, water jugs will spark fire. Most households have none, or at best, a couple of small camping canisters. Hardware and outdoor stores carry them in limited supply, and once panic sets in, they disappear instantly. The people who get there first will grab them all, leaving everyone else fighting over scrap. Right now, you can buy 5 to 7 gallon jugs for under $20 a piece. They're stackable, reusable, and designed to last years. Smart preppers stock at least 6 to 10 of them per family, storing them in cool, dark spaces to preserve water quality. With that setup, you can weather weeks of disruption, while others are collapsing into desperation after their bottled water is gone. In a collapse, bottled water is a sprint. Industrial water jugs are the marathon. Without them, your survival clock ticks down fast. With them, you buy yourself time, control, and bargaining power. That's why when shelves go empty, water jugs won't just be valuable, they'll be worth fighting for. 7. Power that doesn't die. The lithium battery advantage. When the grid collapses and the lights go dark, the very first thing people reach for is their flashlight. The second is their radio. But here's the harsh truth: most of those devices will fail. Not because they're broken, but because the wrong batteries are inside. Everyone knows to grab batteries during a crisis, but what they don't know is that the type of battery matters far more than the brand name on the package. Most households have drawers stuffed with alkaline batteries, the cheapest option on the shelf. But alkalines are a ticking time bomb when it comes to emergency preparedness. They leak corrosive acid that destroys expensive equipment. They slowly bleed out power even when sitting unused. And they're notorious for dying completely in extreme hot or cold conditions. The real secret is lithium batteries. Yes, they cost more, sometimes 3 or 4 times the price of alkalines, but the payoff is enormous. Lithium batteries last 10 times longer in storage, work in extreme weather ranging from freezing Arctic nights to blistering desert heat, and most importantly, they don't leak. That makes them the gold standard for critical devices like smoke detectors, carbon monoxide alarms, emergency radios, and high-powered flashlights. When Texas froze in 2021, families relying on alkalines discovered their flashlights dimming within minutes and their radios cutting out at the worst possible time. Those who had invested in lithium batteries, however, enjoyed consistent light and communication throughout the blackout. But here's where smart preppers go even further, combining rechargeable batteries with solar charging systems. Instead of hoarding mountains of single-use cells, they create a sustainable loop. A basic solar charger costing $20 or $30 paired with high-quality rechargeables like Eneloop gives you a nearly unlimited supply of power for everyday devices. This system keeps flashlights, radios, and even small medical gear running indefinitely as long as the sun rises each morning. Here's the strategy: assign lithium batteries to devices where failure is not an option. Use rechargeables for high-use gear like handheld radios and lanterns. Keep a stash of alkalines not for yourself but for trading with neighbors desperate for quick fixes. In prolonged crises, batteries become as valuable as food. People will barter meals, tools, even medicine in exchange for the ability to power their device. By choosing quality over quantity now, you position yourself not only to survive but to thrive as a resourceful provider when others are fumbling in the dark. 8. Clean water without pipes. The life-saving tablet. Everyone thinks about food storage. Everyone remembers to buy bottled water. But here's the brutal reality: no matter how many gallons you've stockpiled, eventually that supply will run out. At that point, survival comes down to your ability to turn dirty, questionable water into safe drinking water. And the most underrated way to do it isn't a fancy filter or an expensive UV pen. It's water purification tablets. These tiny, shelf-stable tablets weigh almost nothing, last for years, and can turn hundreds of gallons of unsafe water into something safe to drink. Relief agencies and military units use them around the world because they're simple, reliable, and nearly impossible to misuse. Unlike water filters that clog or crack or boiling that requires scarce fuel, tablets only need 2 things: water and time. But not all tablets are equal. The cheap iodine tablets often found in camping stores come with serious drawbacks. They leave water with a harsh metallic taste, can't be safely used by everyone, and aren't effective against every parasite or virus. The smarter option is chlorine dioxide tablets, the gold standard for both the military and humanitarian relief teams. These kill bacteria, viruses, and parasites, including the nastier strains that iodine sometimes misses. They also leave much less aftertaste and are safe for everyone to use. Imagine this. During Hurricane Harvey, municipal water systems in Houston were contaminated for days. Families relying only on bottled water deliveries found themselves rationing every sip. Others, who had planned ahead with purification tablets, simply treated rainwater or collected runoff, confident it was safe to drink. That difference wasn't just about comfort, it was about survival. The power of purification tablets goes beyond your family's needs. In extended crises, they become one of the most valuable barter items you could possibly hold. Neighbors struggling with diarrhea or stomach illness from unsafe water will trade almost anything for the ability to drink without fear. A $20 bottle of chlorine dioxide tablets could easily become worth hundreds of dollars in food, fuel, or medicine when the need is desperate. Stock up now while they're cheap and available. Buy multiple bottles from trusted brands like Aquatebs, Catadine, or military surplus sources. Each tablet treats about a liter of water, meaning a single 100-tablet bottle can sustain one person for nearly a month. Store them in a cool, dry location in their original containers, and they'll last for years. In a world where clean water disappears in hours after a crisis, having tablets on hand isn't just smart, it's life insurance. 9. Heat, shelter, and survival. The emergency blanket upgrade. If you've ever seen those shiny metallic sheets at outdoor stores and thought they looked like cheap gimmicks, think again. Emergency blankets, the real, NASA-designed ones, are among the most versatile survival tools you can own. In fact, they're so effective that entire relief operations rely on them when housing collapses, temperatures plummet, and lives hang in the balance. At their core, these blankets work by reflecting back 90% of your body heat, essentially recycling your own warmth to keep you alive. They're waterproof, windproof, and unbelievably lightweight, which makes them perfect for situations where bulkier blankets or sleeping bags simply aren't practical. But their real value lies in their versatility. In freezing conditions, emergency blankets can mean the difference between mild discomfort and hypothermia. During the 2021 Texas freeze, resourceful families used them to line rooms, cover windows, and seal doors, creating makeshift insulated spaces that stayed warm even as outside temperatures dropped below zero. They didn't just survive, they endured with relative comfort while others shivered under piles of ordinary blankets that simply weren't enough. But these blankets aren't just about heat, they double as rain collectors when stretched between trees, funneling precious water into containers. Their reflective surfaces can signal aircraft from miles away, acting as life-saving beacons for stranded survivors. They create dry ground barriers in muddy conditions, line shelters to maximize fire warmth, and can even protect against extreme heat by reflecting the sun's rays away from your body or living space. Quality matters though. Cheap emergency blankets, often sold in bulk online, are little more than novelty items. Thin, undersized, and prone to tearing. They may comfort someone psychologically in a crisis, but they won't keep you alive. Real emergency blankets, on the other hand, are durable, full-sized, and designed for multiple uses. Military surplus versions and those from reputable survival brands cost a bit more, but when the difference is between surviving the night and not, that small investment is priceless. Think about how powerful this tool really is. For just a few dollars per blanket, you're not only protecting yourself from cold, rain, and wind, you're buying adaptability. In an economic collapse, when heat and clean shelter are scarce, these blankets will become hot commodity. People will fight for them because they solve so many problems at once. If you stockpile them now, you won't just be covered, you'll have trade items that others will desperately need. Lightweight, durable, and endlessly useful, emergency blankets aren't just something to toss in a glove compartment. They're survival technology disguised as a shiny piece of fabric, and when the collapse hits, they'll be worth far more than their weight in gold. When the economy collapses and store shelves start to empty, it won't be the gold bars or luxury items people scramble for. It'll be the simple, ordinary household products that suddenly become priceless. From duct tape and disposable plates to lithium batteries, water purification tablets, and even emergency blankets. These aren't just conveniences, they're survival tools that can mean the difference between safety and vulnerability, between comfort and suffering, between life and death. The tragic reality is most people won't realize their importance until it's too late. They'll fight over bread and milk while the prepared few quietly stockpile the supplies that actually sustain long-term survival. And that's the edge you now have. You know what others don't. So here's your takeaway. Don't wait for chaos to hit before you act. Start building your stockpile now, piece by piece, while these items are still cheap, available, and ignored by the majority. Because when collapse comes, and history shows it always does, these 9 simple products will be worth more than money. They'll buy you time, security, and maybe even the leverage to protect your family when everyone else is unprepared. Prepare today, while you still have the chance, because tomorrow these shelves will be empty.